The rain hammered Seoul's streets, and Naomi Cross stood frozen outside the Blue Dragon Club, phone glowing in her hand. Inside, Kang Ji-hoon was waiting, the arms dealer she was sent to destroy, the man she'd fallen for, the man who'd whispered impossible truths about her past in the darkness of his bed. Footsteps splashed behind her, steady, deliberate. Marcus. "How long have you known?" She didn't turn around. "Long enough." Her partner's voice was flat. "Put the phone down, Naomi." She should have played the dutiful agent caught in an unfortunate situation. Instead, she laughed, sharp and bitter, because the absurdity had finally hit her. "You want to know the worst part, Marcus? I thought I was running the game, thought I was in control." She turned to face him, rain streaming down her face. "But neither of us are who we thought we were, and the real game, it hasn't even started." Marcus's hand moved toward his weapon. "Naomi, what did he tell you?" "Everything. About who I really am, about who you really are, about what happened 20 years ago." She watched understanding dawn in his eyes. "But you already knew that, didn't you?" The phone rang. Kang Ji-hoon's name lit up the screen. Marcus drew his gun. "Don't answer that." In 30 seconds, she'd have to choose the bad she'd carried for a decade or the truth she'd been running from her entire life. But what Marcus was about to tell her would make that choice irrelevant. Seoul's underbelly glittered differently than American crime, and after 18 months embedded in the city's shadow economy, Special Agent Naomi Cross had learned to read its particular shine. Tonight, that shine reflected off champagne glasses in the Kim Gallery's private viewing room, where art worth millions shared space with criminals worth even more. Her target stood alone near a 15th-century landscape, looking bored by both the painting and the predators circling the room. Kang Ji-hoon, the architect, not because he designed buildings, but because he engineered weapons pipelines with the precision of a master craftsman. 38, Cambridge-educated, and according to 6 years of FBI intelligence, completely untouchable. Naomi adjusted her champagne and made her approach, channeling Maya Santos, corrupt shipping coordinator, morally flexible, available for the right price. "The mountains look lonely," she said in Korean. Kang didn't turn. "Only to people who've never climbed them." His English was perfect, barely accented. "You're the shipping coordinator, Maya Santos." So much for subtle infiltration. "You've done your homework." "I do more than homework, Miss Santos." Now he looked at her, and Naomi felt the full weight of his attention. It was like being X-rayed. "I know you transferred from Singapore 6 months ago. I know your employer has been trying to penetrate my supply chain for 2 years. I know you're here tonight to make an impression." He smiled slightly, but not the one he wanted. Naomi kept her expression neutral, even as her pulse spiked. "Then what impression am I making?" "An interesting one." Ji-hoon handed her a business card, black, minimalist, just a silver phone number. "Call me when you're ready for a real conversation without the performance." He walked away, leaving her recording device dead in her purse. He'd scrambled it somehow, the sophisticated bastard. In the gallery bathroom, Naomi texted Marcus. "First contact made. He's better than the files said." Her partner's response came immediately. "That's what worries me." Back at their Itaewon safe house, Marcus Webb was pacing like a caged animal. 7 years they'd been partners. He'd taught her everything about becoming someone else so completely you almost forgot yourself. "He made you instantly," Marcus said, running his hair over his close-cropped hair. At 42, he still moved like the Marine he'd been, all controlled tension and watchful eyes. "He makes everyone. It's his thing." Which is exactly why this is dangerous. Marcus pulled up Kang's file. 3 operatives tried infiltrating his organization in 5 years. 1 disappeared, 1 was found in the Han River, 1 went dark, then turned up in Thailand with 50 kilos of heroin she swears was planted. Naomi studied the file she'd memorized weeks ago: education, net worth, business holdings. But it was the redactions that bothered her, whole sections of his family history blacked out above her clearance level. What's the FBI hiding about his background? Above our pay grade, Marcus closed the laptop. Maybe we should request reassignment before you get in too deep. Since when do you back down? Something haunted flickered across Marcus's face. Since I learned some people are ghosts for a reason, and chasing ghosts gets you killed. That night, unable to sleep, Naomi ran searches she probably shouldn't have, Korean newspaper archives 20 years deep. There had been a prominent Kang family, defense contractors, government connections, old money. Then, suddenly, they vanished. Father dead by suicide after a corruption scandal. Mother and younger sister killed in a house fire ruled accidental. Only the eldest son survived. The son's name was redacted in every article, but the dates matched Ji-hoon's age exactly. Naomi stared at her screen, ice forming in her stomach. The architect wasn't just hiding from the law, he was hiding from something much older, much deeper, and she just walked straight into his crosshairs. Naomi called the number 3 days later. Ji-hoon answered on the first ring, like he'd been waiting. "There's a Pojang matcha in Dongdamon," he said without preamble. "The one with the yellow tarp. 20 minutes. He hung up before she could respond. The street food tent was as far from the gallery as possible. Plastic stools, flickering fluorescent lights, the smell of frying tteokbokki mixing with exhaust fumes. Ji-hoon was already there, eating like a regular person instead of an arms dealer worth hundreds of millions. "You chose the location," Naomi observed, sliding onto the stool beside him. "I wanted to see if you'd come. Most people in your position would insist on neutral territory." He offered her his food. "You came alone to a location I selected, which means either you're very confident or very stupid. Or curious." "Curiosity is dangerous, Agent Cross." He said her real name casually, like dropping a grenade on the table. "FBI, right? Too polished for CIA, too good for local NIS. Her training screamed to deny it, but something in Ji-hoon's tone said the performance was over. "And yet you're still here." "Because the FBI has been building a case against me for 6 years, and they still don't understand what I actually do. They think I'm a merchant of death." He set down his chopsticks. "They're wrong. I'm a historian, an accountant, a man keeping receipts that other people desperately want destroyed." That's a convenient rationalization. Is it? When your government sells weapons to Saudi Arabia, who tracks where they end up? When American guns arm cartels through lost shipments, who's accounting for those bodies? Ji-hoon's eyes locked on hers. "At least I'm honest about what I am. Every weapon I sell comes with GPS tracking. I know exactly where it goes, who uses it, what they do with it. And when someone uses my weapons for genocide or terror, I shut them down, permanently." Naomi felt the ground shifting. "You're saying you're the ethical arms dealer?" "I'm saying I'm the only one keeping the receipts, which is why you're really here, Agent Cross, not to arrest me, to find out what I know, because somewhere in the FBI, someone is very, very worried about what my records might show." She returned to the safe house at 2 a.m. to find Marcus waiting, tension radiating off him like heat. 6 hours dark, no tracker, no check-ins. He pulled up surveillance footage. "He took you to 3 dead zones. Naomi, what the hell are you doing?" "My job, getting close. You're getting too close. I can see it." Marcus stood, voice dropping. "I've seen this before. These guys aren't just criminals, they're seducers. They make you think you understand them, that you're special, that maybe the rules don't apply. Then you wake up one day and realize you've become exactly what you were hunting." The words stung because they were true. She did like Ji-hoon, more than like. She was fascinated by him, brilliant and damaged and dangerous, like staring into a mirror that showed you who you could become if you stopped caring about the rules. "I'm not compromised," she said. "Not yet." Marcus's expression was unreadable. "Just promise me you'll be smart. Ji-hoon is playing a game we don't understand yet." "I promise," Naomi lied. The next morning, going through her passport for a visa renewal, she found it, a photograph she'd never seen before, slipped between the pages. A little girl, maybe 7, standing with an older Korean couple in front of a traditional house. The girl looked happy, safe, loved. The girl was her, but Naomi had no memory of this photo, these people, this place. Her adoption record said she'd come from an orphanage, birth family unknown. She flipped it over with shaking hands. Elegant Korean script. Row 7, marker 14. Some truths don't die with the past. J. Ji-hoon had been in her apartment, had left this message, and somehow he knew about a past that even she didn't remember. The affair began 3 weeks later, though Naomi couldn't pinpoint the exact moment everything changed. Maybe it was the night Ji-hoo took her to his private library, an entire floor dedicated to first editions and philosophy texts worn soft from reading. Or the night he cooked for her, speaking about his mother's recipes like prayers for the dead. Or maybe it was simply inevitable. 2 people circling each other like binary stars, gravity making the collision unavoidable. Tonight, he showed her what he really was. The room looked like something from a spy thriller, wall-to-wall screens displaying a digital map of the world, hundreds of red dots pulsing like heartbeats. Ji-hoon stood before it like a conductor before an orchestra. "This is what I actually do," he said quietly. "Every weapon I've ever sold, every rifle, every missile, every piece of military equipment. I watch where it goes, who buys it, what they use it for." Naomi stared at the constellation of red dots, mesmerized and horrified. "This is insane." "This is accountability." Ji-hoon zoomed in on Myanmar. 3 months ago, a warlord bought 50 rifles from me, said he was defending villages from military raids. Instead, he started raiding the villages himself, murdering families, recruiting child soldiers. He tapped a key. The red dot vanished. So I sent the military his exact location, his ammunition count, his guard rotation. He died in his sleep 2 weeks ago. "You're not an arms dealer," Naomi whispered. "You're an intelligence operation." "I'm a man trying to make sure my father's work wasn't completely in vain. He built weapons to protect people. Others corrupted that purpose, so I became the person who documents the corruption, and occasionally, a ghost of a smile, I untwist things." They crossed the line that night, every protocol violated, every professional boundary shattered. And afterward, lying in his bed with Seoul glittering below them, Naomi asked the question that had been burning since she found the photograph. "That photo you left me, where did you get it?" Ji-hoon was quiet for a long moment. "I've known who you were since the moment you entered Seoul. Not Agent Ross, your real identity, the one even you don't remember." Her heart stopped. "What are you talking about?" "Your name wasn't always Naomi Cross. 20 years ago, you were Kong Na-young." He turned to face her, and his expression was devastating. "And that house in the photograph? That was your home, our home. We lived in the same house, Naomi. Your father and mine were business partners, best friends. You were like a little sister to me." The room tilted. "That's impossible. I would remember." "You were 8 when it happened, when they came for our families. Your parents died in what they called a gas leak, faulty heater, tragic accident. You survived because you were at a friend's house that night. I survived because I was at university. His voice went hard. "By the time we could think clearly, you'd been adopted and sent to America with a new name, a new history, a clean slate, and I stayed behind to find out who murdered everyone we loved." Naomi couldn't breathe. "You're saying someone killed my parents? Made it look like an accident?" "Our fathers were defense contractors, legitimate ones. They discovered their technology was being sold illegally to warlords, terrorists, anyone with cash. When they tried to expose it, they became problems that needed solving." Ji-hoon's jaw tightened. "Your family was eliminated. Mine was destroyed. Scandal, suicide, house fire. All very neat, all very final. Except they missed us." Who? Who did this?" "That's what I've spent 20 years finding out. And now," he looked at her with something like anguish, "now you've walked back into my life, sent by the very people I'm hunting. The irony would be funny if it wasn't so tragic." Naomi felt everything she thought she knew crumbling. "Is that why you let me get close? Because of who I used to be?" "At first, yes. I needed someone inside the FBI. Ji-hoon's hand found hers. But then I fell in love with you, and that compromised everything." Not anger. She could have handled anger. This was fear, raw and visceral, the kind that made veteran agents abandon posts and blow covers. He dropped a manila folder on the table between them. Surveillance photos spilled out like accusations. Naomi and Ji-hoon at a restaurant, outside his building, her hand on his face, his mouth on her neck, the kind of intimacy that couldn't be mistaken for anything professional. "How long?" Marcus's voice was flat. "Naomi, I can explain." "How long have you been sleeping with him?" Each word landed like a hammer. Naomi lifted her chin. 3 weeks, and before you start the lecture about protocol." "Protocol?" Marcus laughed, sharp and bitter. "You think I'm worried about protocol? Naomi, you don't understand what he is, what he's capable of. We need to extract you now, tonight, before this goes any further." "I'm not leaving. Ji-hoon isn't what you think." "He's exactly what I think." Marcus slammed his hand on the table, and Naomi had never seen him this rattled, not in 7 years. "You think you know him? You think he's some misunderstood vigilante? He's been playing you from the beginning." "He knew my real identity. He knows about my family, about what happened 20 years ago, things even I didn't know. So either you read me in right now or I walk." Marcus stared at her, something breaking behind his eyes. Then he pulled out his phone and made a call, speaking rapid, fluent Korean, native accent, no hesitation, like he'd been speaking it his entire life. Naomi's world tilted. "What the hell? You speak Korean?" Marcus ended the call, and when he looked at her, he seemed 10 years older. "I don't just speak it. I grew up speaking it. My name is Min Woo Jin, and I'm not just FBI." He sat down heavily. "I'm former Korean National Intelligence Service. I defected 10 years ago, got a new identity, a new life. The Bureau thinks I'm a Korean American who grew up in California. They have no idea who I really was." "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because it was buried, dead, until you got assigned to Ji-hoon." Marcus's hands were shaking. "Naomi, I know him. Kang Ji-hoon and I grew up together. We were best friends from age 6 until everything fell apart. I know what happened to his family because my father is the reason it happened." The room went silent except for the hum of the refrigerator. "Your father?" Naomi whispered. "Min Jae-sung. He was a government handler for defense contracts. He's the one who orchestrated the illegal weapons deals your father and Ji-hoon's father discovered. When they tried to expose it, my father made the problem disappear. Your family, Ji-hoon's family, all of it." Marcus's voice cracked. "I didn't know until years later, until I was already in the NIS and found the classified files. That's why I defected. That's why I ran, because my father is a monster and I couldn't be part of it anymore." "Does Ji-hoon know who you are?" I don't know, maybe, probably. Marcus looked at her with desperate eyes. But Naomi, you need to understand, my father isn't just some retired bureaucrat. He's still in power. He's deputy director of national security now, and I've been feeding him information about Ji-hoon's movements for the last 18 months. Naomi felt like she'd been punched. You're a double agent? I'm a son trying to protect my father from his own crimes while hating him for committing them. I'm trying to keep Ji-hoon alive because I owe him that much, and I'm trying to keep you safe because you're my partner. Marcus stood. But now you've gone and fallen in love with the one person who has every reason to destroy me. So tell me, Naomi, what the hell do we do now? Marcus pulled up encrypted files on his laptop, his hands still shaking. Your father, Kang Dae-jung, and Ji-hoon's father were partners, not just business partners, brothers in everything but blood. They built defense technology together, smart missiles, advanced targeting systems, stuff that was supposed to protect South Korea from threats. Naomi sat down, her legs suddenly unsteady. What happened? They discovered their technology was being diverted, sold to warlords in Myanmar, separatists in Indonesia, anyone with enough cash. The deals were being brokered through government channels, completely untraceable, completely illegal. When they started asking questions, when they threatened to go public, Marcus's voice went hollow. My father was the government handler assigned to manage them. He decided they were liabilities. So he killed them? He orchestrated it, made it look like accidents, tragedies, bad luck. Your family's gas leak, Ji-hoon's father's suicide, which wasn't a suicide, the house fire that killed his mother and sister. Marcus looked at her with haunted eyes. I found the order files when I was at NIS, my father's signature on every authorization. He destroyed 2 families to protect a weapons smuggling operation. And you've known this the whole time we've been in Seoul? I've known since before we got the assignment. When the Bureau said we were going after Ji-hoon, I volunteered us, not to arrest him, Naomi, to protect him. Marcus ran his hand over his face. My father is still in power, still running the same networks, just bigger now. If Ji-hoon gets close to exposing him, my father will have him eliminated. So I've been feeding my father false information, keeping him looking the wrong direction, buying Ji-hoon time to build his case. Does Ji-hoon know you're protecting him? I don't know what Ji-hoon knows. That's what terrifies me. Marcus closed the laptop. He's been 3 steps ahead of everyone for 20 years. For all I know, this entire situation, you, me, the FBI assignment, is exactly what he wanted. Naomi's phone buzzed, a text from Ji-hoon. We need to talk, now. She found him in his penthouse, standing by the windows with that same calculating stillness that had attracted her from the beginning. But now she saw it differently, not calm, but controlled fury held in check for 2 decades. Ji-hoon said it without turning around. Marcus told you. You knew who I was from day one. It wasn't a question. Yes. The affair, getting close to me, all of it, was calculated. At first, now he turned and his expression was raw. I needed someone inside the FBI, someone who could protect the evidence I've been gathering, someone who could navigate the bureaucracy when the time came to burn it all down. When I discovered Kang Na-young was now FBI Special Agent Naomi Cross, it seemed like fate, poetic justice. So you seduced me. I planned to. I researched you, studied you, figured out exactly how to make you trust me, care about me, compromise yourself for me. Ji-hoon crossed to her, and she saw genuine anguish in his eyes. But then I actually got to know you, the real you, not the agent, and I fell in love with you. Actually, genuinely fell in love, which has compromised everything. How convenient. It's not convenient, it's a disaster. Ji-hoon's control cracked. You were supposed to be a tool, a means to an end. Now you're the only person in the world I can't afford to lose, and that makes me weak. It makes me vulnerable. It makes me question 20 years of planning because the thought of you getting hurt. He stopped, jaw clenched. Naomi felt tears burning. I don't know what's real anymore. This is real. Ji-hoon took her hands. I needed you. That's true. But I love you. That's also true. Both things can exist at once. The question is whether you can live with that. Ji-hoon led Naomi to his control room, the wall of screens casting blue light across his face like war paint. He pulled up a different view, not just GPS dots, but files, thousands of them, purchase orders, wire transfers, shipping manifests, all meticulously documented. 20 years of evidence, he said quietly. Every weapon I've sold has a tracker, yes, but it also has a paper trail that leads back to the source, the government officials who approve the exports, the shell companies that launder the payments, the banks that facilitate the transfers. He zoomed in on a network diagram that looked like a spider web. It's not just Korea, it's multinational, a shadow network that's been operating for 40 years, profiting from endless regional conflicts. Naomi stared at the screen, her mind reeling. This is insane. How many people are involved? Hundreds, maybe thousands, politicians, military brass, corporate executives, all connected through this web of illegal weapons deals. They shape wars, topple governments, eliminate anyone who gets too close. Ji-hoon's expression hardened. Your father wasn't the first to discover it. He won't be the last to die for it. But I'm going to be the one who finally exposes it. How? You can't just dump this on the internet and hope for the best. That's where you come in. I need someone inside the FBI who can protect the data, navigate the legal channels, make sure it reaches the right people without being buried. He looked at her. I need you, Naomi, not the 8-year-old girl I remember, the federal agent you've become. Her phone rang before she could answer. Director Sarah Chen, her handler, calling at 1 a.m. Seoul time, which meant emergency. I need to take this. Take it here. No more secrets. Naomi answered. Director Chen? I need you in my office tomorrow, 1400 hours Washington time, video conference, encrypted channel. The line went dead. Ji-hoon was already typing. Sarah Chen, your direct handler for this operation. Yes, she's been overseeing the Ji-hoon investigation from the beginning. Why? Because I like to know who's on the board. He pulled up a file. Let's see what we can find about Director Sarah Chen. What they found made Naomi's blood run cold. 20 years ago, Sarah Chen had been a junior prosecutor in Seoul. She'd been assigned to investigate the deaths of the Kang family and Naomi's family. The investigation lasted exactly 2 weeks before being closed. Accidental deaths, no criminal activity suspected, case sealed. Chen's signature was on the closure documents. She buried it. She buried the investigation into my parents' murder, which means she's either part of the network or being controlled by it. Ji-hoon's jaw tightened, and now she's calling an emergency meeting. That's not a coincidence. Naomi's hands were shaking. Marcus, I need to talk to Marcus. She found her partner in the safe house, packing a go bag with the efficiency of someone who'd done it many times before. We're burned, he said without looking up. My father knows I've been feeding him false intel. He knows about you and Ji-hoon, and now he's moving to shut everything down. How do you know? Because he called me. First time in 10 years. Marcus's voice was hollow. He said, come home, Woo-jin. We need to talk about your friend and his American whore. Those were his exact words. Marcus! He's Deputy Director of National Security, Naomi. He has resources we can't imagine. He's already compromised Director Chen, probably has for years, and now he's calling both of us in separately to see what we know. Marcus finally looked at her. "This is the end game. Either we run or we play. But if we play, some of us probably don't make it out alive." "What are you going to do?" Marcus was quiet for a long moment. "He's my father. I hate him. I've spent 10 years running from him, but he's still my father." His voice cracked. "I don't know if I can be the one to destroy him." Naomi stood in her apartment at dawn, looking at the 3 phones laid out on her kitchen counter like cards in a deadly game. Her FBI phone, her burner, her Ji-hoon, her secure line for Marcus. 3 different conversations, 3 different versions of herself, 3 different lies she was about to tell. For 18 months, she'd been everyone's pawn, Marcus's conflicted partner, Ji-hoon's long-lost connection and convenient FBI insider, Director Chen's field agent. Even her own identity had been someone else's move. Kang Na-young erased, Naomi Cross created, all to protect her from a conspiracy she hadn't known existed. But pawns who reached the other side of the board became queens, and Naomi could finally see the whole chessboard. She called Marcus first. He answered on the second ring, sounding exhausted. "I'm done with Ji-hoon," she said, her voice hard. "You were right. He's been using me from the beginning. Everything he told me about my family, about us being connected, it was manipulation. I'm ready to help you eliminate him." Marcus was quiet for a long moment. "Naomi, if you're doing this because you're hurt, I'm doing this because I'm a federal agent and I let my emotions compromise an investigation. That ends now." She injected just enough bitterness to sell it. "Your father wants Ji-hoon neutralized? Fine, I'll deliver him. But I want immunity for my part in this, and I want the truth about what happened to my parents. All of it." "I'll make it happen," Marcus said, relief flooding his voice. "We'll do this right." She hung up and immediately called Ji-hoon. "Marcus is going to betray you," she said without preamble. "His father got to him. They're planning to move against you within the next 72 hours. But I have a plan. We take down Marcus's father first, use your evidence to expose him publicly before he can strike. I can route everything through the FBI's Internal Investigation Division, bypass Chen entirely." Ji-hoon's voice was calm, unsurprised. "And Marcus?" "Collateral damage." He made his choice. The words tasted like ash, but she forced them out. "I'm all in, Ji-hoon. Your endgame is my endgame now." "He'll send you the files," he said quietly. "Everything I have. Naomi, thank you." The third call was to Director Chen, and Naomi made sure her voice carried exactly the right mix of excitement and professional restraint. "Director, I'm about to crack this case wide open. Ji-hoon trusts me completely. He's preparing to move his evidence to a new location. I've convinced him I can provide FBI protection for the transfer. If we coordinate with local assets, we can seize everything and take him down in one operation." "When?" Director Chen's voice was sharp with interest. 48 hours. I'll have exact coordinates 24 hours before. But Director, this needs to be airtight. If Ji-hoon suspects anything, he'll burn the evidence and disappear." "Good work, Agent Cross. Send me the preliminary details as soon as you have them." "And Naomi," Chen's tone shifted slightly, "I've always known you were destined for great things. This case will make your career." Naomi hung up and finally let herself breathe. Then she opened her laptop and started digging into Director Sarah Chen's financials because something about that last comment felt wrong, too invested, too personal. What she found made everything click into place. Chen had taken 3 trips to Seoul in the last year, all off the books, none appearing in official travel records. But she found them in airline databases, hotel reservations paid through shell companies. Each trip corresponded exactly with meetings Marcus's father had attended. Same city, same dates, sometimes same hotels. She went deeper, found a property deed in Chen's maiden name, a luxury apartment in Gangnam purchased 15 years ago for cash worth $3 million. On a prosecutor's salary, even an FBI director's salary, that was impossible. Then she found the smoking gun, A photograph from a charity gala in Seoul 8 years ago. Director Chen standing next to Min Jae-sung, Marcus's father, their body language speaking volumes. Not strangers, not professional acquaintances, partners. Naomi's phone buzzed again, a text from an unknown number. Row 7, marker 14. Your mother left more than you know. You need to see it before Chen moves. S. She stared at the message. S. Could be anyone, could be a trap, or it could be the final piece of the puzzle. Naomi had seen Lee Sang-woo a dozen times in the past 3 months. Ji-hoon's right-hand man, always in the background, efficient and invisible. 15 years he'd been with Ji-hoon, since the very beginning of the operation, loyal, trusted, indispensable. Which made what Naomi found in the NIS database feel like a knife to the gut. Agent Lee Sang-woo, active status, handler Min Jae-sung, Deputy Director of National Security, assignment, deep cover infiltration of Kang Ji-hoon's weapons network, duration, 15 years. 15 years, since the very beginning. She called Ji-hoon immediately. Where's Sang-woo right now? At the warehouse, overseeing a shipment. Why? Get out of there, now. He's NIS. He's been reporting to Marcus's father for 15 years. Your entire operation has been compromised from the inside. The silence on the other end was deafening. Then quietly, I know. You know? I've known for 3 years, since I intercepted a communication he thought was secure. Ji-hoon's voice was eerily calm. I've been feeding him false information ever since, watching what he reports back, using him to track how much they actually know. He's more useful to me as a controlled leak than as a corpse. Jesus Christ, Ji-hoon, you're playing chess with people who are trying to kill you. I've been playing chess with them for 20 years. What's 3 more? But his voice tightened, though if you found his file, that means Chen gave you access, which means she's moving faster than I anticipated. We need to accelerate everything. Naomi was already pulling on her jacket. I'm coming to you. She found Ji-hoon and Sang-woo at the warehouse, tension crackling between them like electricity before a storm. Sang-woo's hand was near his weapon. Ji-hoon's posture was deceptively relaxed. She knows. Ji-hoon said to Sang-woo without preamble. No point pretending anymore. Sang-woo's expression didn't change. How long have you known? 3 years. You got sloppy with a satellite transmission. Ji-hoon tilted his head. The question is why you're still here. If you wanted me dead, you've had 1,000 opportunities. If you wanted to arrest me, you could have called in your team years ago. So what's your actual game, Sang-woo? My game is keeping you alive, you stubborn bastard. Sang-woo's composure finally cracked. You think I don't know what you're doing, this suicidal vendetta against people who've been in power for 40 years? You were going to get yourself killed, and I couldn't. He stopped, jaw clenched. I've been feeding them false information, keeping them looking the wrong direction, buying you time to build your case properly with actual legal protection instead of this kamikaze mission you're on. Touching, Ji-hoon said coldly, except you're still reporting to the man who murdered my family. Because that's the only way to know what he's planning. You want to take him down, you need to know his moves before he makes them. Sang-woo stepped forward. I'm not your enemy, Ji-hoon. I'm the only reason you're still breathing. Prove it, Naomi said. The warehouse door exploded inward. 6 men in tactical gear poured through, weapons raised, moving with military precision. Extraction team, professional, lethal. Sang-woo didn't hesitate. He pulled his weapon and put 2 rounds in the team leader's chest before anyone else could react. The man dropped and chaos erupted. Go, Sang-woo shouted, providing covering fire as Ji-hoon and Naomi ran for the back exit. I'll hold them. An explosion rocked the building, the second entrance blowing open, more men flooding in. They were surrounded. Naomi's phone lit up with simultaneous calls. Marcus, Chen, unknown number, everyone converging, everyone moving, the entire conspiracy descending on this one location like wolves sensing wounded prey.
Ji-hoon grabbed her hand. "The roof, there's an escape route." "Nobody's escaping." The voice came from the catwalk above. Naomi looked up and her heart stopped. Marcus stood there, weapon drawn, but he wasn't alone. Director Sarah Chen stood beside him, perfectly composed in a business suit that looked absurd in a firefight. And behind them, flanked by his own security detail, was an older Korean man with Marcus's eyes and a smile like poisoned honey. Min Jae-sung, Marcus's father, the architect of everything. "Hello, Naomi," he said in perfect English. "It's been 20 years. You've grown beautifully, just like your mother, right before I had her killed."
The standoff lasted exactly 3 seconds before Naomi realized what Ji-hoon had done. The warehouse wasn't just a meeting point, it was a trap, and everyone had walked into it. "You're all being recorded," Ji-hoon said calmly, looking up at Min Jae-sung. "Every word, streaming live to encrypted servers in 17 countries. So please, keep talking about murdering families. It's excellent evidence." Min Jae-sung's smile never wavered. "You think I didn't expect this? You think I haven't planned for every contingency?" He nodded to Chen. Director Chen pulled her weapon, aiming it at Ji-hoon. "The recording ends now. All of you, phones on the ground. We're shutting this down the old-fashioned way." "Sarah, what are you doing?" Marcus's voice cracked. "You're FBI. You're supposed to—" "I'm supposed to protect American interests," Chen said coldly, "and sometimes that means protecting the people who keep the machine running, even if the machine is ugly. Your father has been a valuable asset for 20 years. I'm not letting some revenge-obsessed arms dealer destroy that." Marcus looked between Chen and his father, something breaking in his eyes. "You knew? The FBI knew what he was, what he'd done, and you protected him anyway?" "We used him, just like he used us. Mutually beneficial arrangement." She kept her gun steady. "Now everyone stays quiet while we clean this up, starting with destroying those servers." "You can't," Sung-woo said from across the warehouse, still holding his own weapon. "They're distributed, encrypted. Even if you kill everyone here, the evidence goes live in 72 hours unless Ji-hoon personally cancels the dead man switch." Min Jae-sung finally lost his smile. "Then we have 72 hours to persuade him." "You destroyed everything I loved to cover for her?" Marcus's shout echoed through the warehouse. His weapon was shaking, pointed at his father. "Mom, my childhood, my entire identity, all of it burned so you could keep working with this sociopath? Don't you dare talk about your mother." Min Jae-sung's voice went ice cold. "Everything I did to protect this family. Chen has evidence that would have destroyed us all. I had no choice." "Evidence of what?" Min Jae-sung's jaw tightened. "Evidence that I killed your mother, that her car accident wasn't an accident. Chen found out, and she's been using it as leverage ever since. I'm not the puppet master, Woo-jin. I'm the puppet." The words hung in the air like a grenade. You murdered Mom?" Marcus's weapon dropped slightly. She was going to expose everything. Min Jae-sung's voice was hollow. She found the files about the Kang family, about the illegal deals. She was going to the press. I had to protect the operation. I had to protect you, even if you hate me for it. Chen laughed, sharp and bitter. "Ha! How touching! But since we're confessing, let me clarify something." The gunshot was deafening. Min Jae-sung had fired, the bullet catching Chen in the chest. She stumbled backward, blood blooming across her white blouse, her weapon clattering to the floor. "You fools," Chen gasped, laughing even as blood filled her mouth. "You think I'm the top. I'm just middle management." She looked at Naomi, her eyes already glazing. "Your mother. She almost destroyed it all. She was so close. That's why we—" More blood. "The USB drive, row 7, marker 14. She hid it where only you could find it. Don't let her work die with—" Chen's eyes went empty. Min Jae-sung looked at his son, at the horror in Marcus's face, and something ancient and tired settled over him. Some sins don't deserve trials. He put the gun to his temple.
Dad, no! The shot rang out. Marcus screamed, diving forward to catch his father's body, the two of them collapsing in a tangle of blood and broken loyalty. Alarm shrieked. The warehouse doors exploded open, Interpol teams flooding in, Sung Woo's voice cutting through the chaos. Everyone on the ground now. Ji-hoon grabbed Naomi's arm. Row 7, marker 14. Go, now, before they lock everything down. I can't just... Naomi, run! She ran. Seoul Memorial Cemetery was drowning in rain when she found it. Row 7, marker 14. A simple grave. Unknown woman, 2005. No name, no dates, just anonymous stone. Naomi's hand shook as she searched, finding the hidden compartment behind the marker. Inside, a USB drive and a water-damaged letter. Naomi's mother's handwriting. Na Young, if you're reading this. Footsteps behind her. Naomi spun, reaching for her weapon. A woman in her 60s stood there, elegant in an expensive coat, flanked by 6 armed operatives in tactical gear. Her smile was surgical, precise. "Hello, Na Young," she smiled. "I'm Director Kwan."
Who is Director Kwan? What's on the USB drive? If you want to know how deep this conspiracy goes, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss the explosive conclusion. Drop a comment and tell me, do you think Ji-hoon knew this would happen all along? 'Cause he seems to know everything. Part 2 drops soon, and trust me, you have no idea what happens next. See you in Part 2.